Hello, liebe Leute, and welcome back to the channel. There are a million other things you could be doing with your time right now. Instead, you're spending it with me. Thank you. I'm going to do my best to make that time valuable for you. To that end, we're going to talk about the latest updates about the ETIAS system, which governs the entry and exit from European countries, specifically the Schengen area, beginning in the very near future. And in fact, parts of it have already started. But before I get into that, let me please invite you to join us on Sunday evening European time. I think it's Sunday afternoon for those of you who are in the United States. If you want to talk directly with Justin and me, it's a perfect opportunity. So if you go to the Patreon link down below in the description, you will get a link and you will be able to join us, and you can talk to us directly along with a whole bunch of other people that are in similar situations where we exchange ideas. We talk about job opportunities. We talk about the latest updates to registry laws and so forth. So please feel free to do that if it interests you and you like what we're doing. To the topic at hand. I have found out that there are actually two pieces to the ETIAS which are being implemented at two different times. First, we have the EES. Later, we will have the ETIAS. Let's talk about the EES first because it's already gone into effect. That is the entry and exit system. EES, entry and exit system. What this is going to do is when you arrive at an airport within the Schengen, they will take your photograph, your fingerprints, and I think some other biometric data, probably your eye color, your height, your weight, whatever. And they're going to record when you come into Europe. They're going to record when you leave Europe. The whole purpose of this is to see if people are overstaying their visas. Now, notice I said overstaying their visas. That means this applies to people who are coming from countries where either visas are required for tourists or education or whatever have you, or from countries that don't immediately require a visa, like the United States, where you're allowed to be in Europe for 90 days just by getting your passport stamped. So for all those folks, when you come now, they're going to record when you arrive here and when you leave. That's all it is. So if you are an EU citizen, or let me rephrase that and say if you are a citizen of a EU country that is a member of the Schengen area, or if you have some kind of title to be here, residence permit, long-term residence permit, or work permit, what have you, you'll bypass that EES system because you're allowed to be here for as long as you like. But if you're coming here on a temporary visa, such as a tourist visa, you're going to have to check in and then check out. That's all it is. They're not running background checks. They're not running financial checks. They're not doing any of that. They are merely checking to see if you leave when you're supposed to and that you don't overstay your temporary visa. That's it. That's literally all there is to it. That has already started going into effect among the 29 member nations, and it started going into effect on March 5th. So starting from March 5th, you can add 5 months, and that's going to go to, August 5th? So the 29 member states have until August 5th to implement this system across the board. And again, no background checks, nothing like that. They're merely keeping track of who's coming and who's going. That's it. The part you're probably really interested in is the ETIAS. And that is the system whereby which folks are going to have to get their pre-approval for visas before you even get on the airplane. A person, we'll say you, for example, you will need to go on to a website. You will need to enter your information, your travel itinerary, who you are, probably give your passport number, your passport control number, and so forth. And then they will ask you certain questions, including, do you have a criminal background? Now, I know, having been there myself, I know that those who live in the United States, especially those who are still on the registry, you've been listening to, I'm going to call it what it is, the American propaganda for so long that you believe that everybody hates anybody with a conviction, that anybody with a conviction is going to be banned from traveling into European countries, that you won't be welcome, that because you have a criminal record, you won't be able to get a job. And that's just hogwash. The United States certainly wants you to believe that, but it is not true. The rest of the world, well, maybe not the rest of the world because England is a little quirky. But most other countries of the planet, the vast majority, understand that people make mistakes, and it's just part of who we are as people, and they move on. They don't hang up on it. They don't get hung up on it. So when you apply for this ETIAS pre-waiver visa application, let's call it, that's just going to weed out the crazy people, like the ones who have terrorist charges or multiple murder charges, or those who are wanted by Interpol or something like that. Most minor crimes are not going to get you. In fact, some major crimes are not going to stop you from getting into Europe. That's not an issue. However, having said that, no matter what you're concerned about the ETIAS is, whether you think it will stop you or not, it has recently been announced that it's going to be pushed back to the fourth quarter of 2026. So again, even if you're concerned about it, you've just been granted almost another 2 years. That's some good news. So brush that stress off for the moment. So at the moment, EES is in effect. That's the one that just checks whether you're coming and going. The ETIAS system, which will, give you the pre-visa waiver, that's not going into effect for at least another 18 months, possibly up to 2 years. And who knows, there's probably going to be another delay after that. Here's to hoping, anyways. So hopefully that information is useful to you, and hopefully I made it slightly entertaining, because otherwise it's kind of dry. It's like eating on dry breadcrumbs. So until next time, my friends, be smart, be safe. If you're not happy with your situation, it's time to do something about it. It's time to do something about it. Until next time, my friends. Cheers.